Now for the rendering part. Make sure that you select camera on the viewport to render the actual camera, and also make sure that you check the save frame on, so when you render you see exactly the camera frame. So now let's go to render setup. You can find it in the toolbar, or you can go to rendering setup. Make sure that your renderer is assigned to Scanline renderer. So you could go to the common tab and then go down into the last panel, open up the panel, and in the production change the renderer into a Scanline renderer. Just click on the small box here beside the production and choose Scanline renderer. Usually it will be the third choice, so just click on it and click OK. Also, you would change the active shade, make sure that is in Scanline renderer, and save as default, so the next time you would come or you would open another project, you will have the Scanline as your assigned renderer. Just click on OK. Let's go on into the Scanline renderer tabs and detailed. So this is the common parameter. We are going to render a single frame, which is our first frame. Area to render, make sure that is in view. You can also create or choose the size of your final production. And the drop down list, you can have many sizes that you can choose from. Make sure that this option is checked on, which is the atmosphere, effect and displacement. Also advanced lighting, check on the first box, which is use advanced lighting. Here is the render output. You can choose a file where your final render to be saved in a specific file, so you just click on files. And you can create or choose the specific place to save all of your file. We'll go to the renderer tab. Make sure you choose the options, which is mapping, shadow and auto reflection. We will not change anything, we will make it as default. This is the renderer element tab. We will not going to add anything. Here is the ray tracer mapping. Same, we'll have the ray depth control, it's going to be the same. Here in the global ray anti-leisure, make sure that you are on in the fast adaptive anti-leisure, which is the first one. This window, we have already changed the parameter into our likeness, so we just have to click close. Now if I wanted to render in a specific paper size, I would again go to rendering, but this time I would go to print size assistant. This window would show further more options to the size that I could render my final shots or final view. So here is the paper size. I can choose between A0, A2, A3, A4, A5. Also there are some letter size legal and also the legal size. So if you are asked to render in an A3 size, you would basically choose A3, and you can choose between the portrait or landscape. Also, you could choose the DPI value. It depends on your work in the Photoshop. So if you are working into 100 resolution, so this actually stand for the DPI stand for the resolution. So if your final studio poster is in Photoshop in 150 resolution, you make sure that you choose the size and you choose the resolution same as your poster that you have designed in the Photoshop resolution. So the resolution of both Photoshop and the photo of your rendering should match. So I would suggest that you don't go over 150 as a resolution. And then you would simply click render. So this is the rendering frame that's going to be shown the final production of your rendering shot. And here's the rendering progression. So as you can see here, this is the total animation, and then here is the current task. You should wait for this green light to finish all the way up. Also, here are the common parameters. So this is the last time frame, which shows the previous rendering time, and this is the elapsed timing, and also it will show the time remaining. Here are also your rendering settings. So this is the viewport. You are rendering the viewport camera 001, which has the specific width and height. Here is going to show the start time and the end time. Here is the nth frame. So we are rendering only a one shot, which has a single frame. And it will show the aspect ratio. And there are some also outputs and all of your rendering options and settings that you have chosen, and the rendering setup. Here is also the Scanline renderer. Also, these are all of the options that we have chosen previously on the rendering setup. So we just have to wait for the image until it's completely rendered, and then you will wait for the rendering time. Keep in mind that the larger the size is and the higher the resolution is, the longer time the rendering will be. After the rendering process has been done, we will now save the photo. So we will basically click on the save image here, or the icon here. Just choose where you would like to place it, and here you would give the file name. So for example, living room. Here is the format of the image, so we will save as JPEG. Always use JPEG as a format of your photo, and avoid use PNG. When using PNG, some of the bit mapping will not appear into the will be missing when saving as the PNG. So always save as a JPEG format, and then we will click save. Okay, so make sure that you have the quality on best. Click OK. And this is how you save your rendered image. So you can also, for example, if I wanted to take off these two pillows, do I have to render the whole image again? Well, no, you don't. So let's us do some. Okay, so I will remove these two pillows. I will delete them, but make sure you don't change the camera position. You make it as it is. So now I will open up the render frame window only. So I will click on the render frame window, and now I will go to the area to render here in the upper corner. From the drop down list, I will click on region. So when clicking on region, you can see here there is like a square has been added into the rendering frame, and also has been added into the viewport scene. So you could add in the viewport scene or in the rendering frame. So I would just add the frame here. You can also here click edit into my viewport as well. Okay, and only render this. I will only render this part where I have deleted the two pillows, and I will click render to save more time rather than rendering the whole image again just for this unwanted or this minor change. So this is how you render a region only. So we would just wait for the rendering process till it's finished, and then we would save it again as we did previously.